This has to be the sweetest sounding hummingbird I have ever played, hands down. I don't care who the manufacturer is, Gibson or anybody else. And maybe I just got lucky, folks, but many of you on the channel own this guitar out of the Indonesian plant, and you tell me, do you feel the same way? So I want to talk a little bit about this because these factories all have codes embedded in the serial numbers. So if you look at the serial number on these guitars, and if you don't mind, I'm just going to make sure I've got the year and the month right. I believe it's the first two digits are the year, the second two digits are the month, and I'm going to put mine up while I'm doing this. Yeah, so mine was made in June of 2021, and the fifth and sixth digits in that serial number from left to right, fifth and sixth, tell you the factory code. And the factory code on the one I have is 23. And that is the old Samek factory in Indonesia. That was the number assigned to that plant. The newer ones that you see, and this is why you have to ask, and believe me, you can't always go by the place you're buying it from telling you what it is. In other words, I've had several people tell me that they have contacted guitar stores, retailers, online, and ordered a guitar and then called them and said, I want to make sure this one came from Indonesia. And they all go, yeah, they were built in Indonesia. And it showed up at their house. I'm thinking of a couple of people on the channel right now, and it had factory code 15 in there, which is Qingdao, China. So you can't count on the people you're talking to actually knowing for sure where that guitar is built. You have to ask them what the serial number is in the guitar you're buying. And then when they get through 1, 2, 3, 4 in the serial number lineup, when they get to 5 and 6, those fifth and sixth digits, if that's not 23, it's not Indonesia, it's China. Now, does that make it bad? Well, I don't want to start a war in the comments, so I'm going to say no, it doesn't make it bad. It doesn't make it bad, it doesn't make it good, it doesn't make it either one. It just means that you have to remember when they moved operations from Indonesia to China, some things changed inside of these guitars. And the reason I know that is because mine is a little on the heavy side. And the newer ones coming out of the China factory are very light. Hey everybody, just a quick video. This is Chinese made Epiphone Inspired by Gibson Hummingbird. I'll tell you the first thing about it. It's light. It's much lighter than the one that I have. I'm at Guitar Center in Mesquite. And it's got a good sound to it. The action is high on this guitar. So much so that I'm struggling to play it a little bit. But it's got a good sound to it. So here's what I would say. If they're all like this one, you could probably pick it up, get the action right on it, because I mean the action is super high, people, on this guitar. But it's very lightweight. Just a quick video, give you a heads up. If you're looking at these Chinese made ones, expect the action to be off the charts high. At least that's the one I've got in my hands. Thanks everybody. Texas. And I was playing around on it. The action was really high. The neck seemed to have problems. But I did drag a sound out of it, you know, with like a D chord or a C chord. And, you know, anyway, that one had problems. It felt better from a weight standpoint, but it had some neck issues. And it also had some, you know, as a result of that, had annotation issues, had action issues. It had about every kind of issue you could think of. And it didn't sound anything like the guitar I hold in my hands. This guitar that I've got built in Indonesia just sounds absolutely amazing. It's sweet. It's got the lows, it's got the mids. The highs articulate good enough for me. I don't like a super bright guitar anyway. These things have Indian laurel fretboard on them, and I'm talking Indonesian now, but I believe the China ones do too. It's Indian laurel, which I think is in that rosewood family. Well, maybe it's not in the rosewood family. I don't know if it is or it isn't. It's Ovencall I'm thinking of that's in the rosewood family. But the fretboard on this is Indian laurel. The bridge is Indian laurel. I don't know. If you got issues with Indian laurel, well, let me know in the comment what those issues are, because it's a nice fretboard. It's a nice bridge. Keep it oiled. I'm sure it'll last you a lifetime. Beautiful, beautiful tuners on this guitar that hold the tune. And, nice binding on the neck. The frets on this one were immaculate. And I think, I forget where I ordered this. It was off of Reverb, I believe, is where I originally got this guitar. And it was new when I bought it, but I don't remember who I actually bought it from. But these are factory. These frets were done there at the Samick factory, folks, and just a phenomenal guitar. And the frets feel great on it, and everything about this guitar, I couldn't complain one iota about it. I would be interested to know what it sounded like with a nitros cellulose finish on it, because if it sounds this good with lacquer, I can't imagine how much better it would sound with a nitros finish on it. This guitar is flawless in every respect. I think I tweaked the neck about 1/8 of a turn when I got it, and haven't done another thing to it. Just took a tad bit of relief out, and I could not be happier with this guitar. So look, everybody, I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I just want to make sure we got all the information contained in one video. Indonesia versus China. China may end up with the consistency for building acoustic guitars that they have with their electric lineup, and I hope they do. But they're no longer making these inspired by Gibsons in Indonesia. So beware when somebody tells you, if you order one new, and they go, oh yeah, it was made in Indonesia. You don't know that for a fact until you know the serial number of the guitar they're going to ship you. And again, the 5th and 6th digits need to say 2, 3. And then you have an Indonesian made. And I'm sure Indonesia probably put out a bad build at some point. I'm sure they did. But I've yet to pick one up or hear of one that was the case. They had their act together when they built these guitars over there. And that's why I'm such a huge fan of this Epiphone Inspired by Gibson Hummingbird and J45. I'd like to be a fan of the Epiphone Inspired by Gibson J200, but I've yet to play one. And the reviews are 50-50 on the sound. Unless you're looking at that 57 spec out of China that was done with that guitar. And it's a beautiful guitar. But be careful when you're buying these. And then before you buy, if you got any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll see what I can find out for you, because I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm some kind of a guitar expert, because nothing could be further from the truth. Somebody, I was talking to somebody the other day, and what is a expert? What's an expert? Well, that's somebody who knows a little bit and they're arrogant about it, right? So, I'm no expert. I couldn't build a guitar. I'm horrible with woodworking. I never have been. I've been a no talent bum. I probably could learn, but I never took the time out to learn to do this stuff. But I have played a number of guitars, And I do know what drives tone in a guitar, and I do know what a good build looks like on a guitar. I mean, it's dovetail neck joint. The appointments on this guitar, that's all mother of pearl you're looking at. Plastic binding on the back and the front, and on the neck is also bound. Mahogany back and sides. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's beautiful. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but I replaced these pins with ebony. Okay, I've got a bone nut, and I've got ebony pins and a bone saddle. So I did replace the original pins with ebony. And folks, it's just one great guitar. And a very, very sweet sound. And I own some really beautiful sounding instruments. And but I am very much attached to this Epiphone Inspired by Gibson Hummingbird, made in Indonesia. What a phenomenal, phenomenal instrument I've got in my hands. And I think I've always encouraged people to pick one of these up. But at the time I did the first two videos, I had no earthly idea they were going to move the factory over to China and start practicing building guitars, acoustic guitars. And somebody from Gibson sees this, will probably be irritated with me, but I think they just didn't have the experience. And so you don't get the consistency that you had in Indonesia. Remember, the Indonesian plant, they had all the experience with those master builds, and they built some phenomenal guitars, but then Gibson went over there and hung with them while they were working through building these inspired by Gibsons. And so you ended up with some great instruments coming out of there. Anyway, everybody, I really wanted to just kind of sum everything up so that you knew what to be on the lookout for if you're looking at one of these instruments, okay? These things, I do know you can probably still find the ones in Indonesia on Reverb. And you might be able to find them in other places too, but don't forget to check that serial number on that guitar. Okay? And then, if you want one out of the China factory, well, go buy one out of the China factory. There are all the new ones, all the brand spanking new ones now are made in China. So if you want to roll the dice and see what that shows up at your house like, well, feel free. I just don't want you to do it not armed with the knowledge that you need to make an informed decision about what you're about to purchase, okay? I still love this guitar. I think I will always love this guitar. I hope all of you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah. And let me say this, John Doe, for the guitar giveaway, the Yamaha guitar giveaway that I did, he did email me. I did ship it to him. He did email me the pictures of the guitar. He cleaned that pick guard up. I pulled that rosewood sticker off of it or faux rosewood, or however you say that. And anyway, he cleaned the pick guard all up, and he seemed to really, really love the guitar. So it made it up there safe and sound. I double boxed it, and he was up in Michigan, and I'm glad he got a guitar that he's happy with, and he seemed very, very thrilled with it. So I'm not going to say his name out loud on the channel, but John Doe, good on you, bud, for getting that. I hope it made for a good Christmas for you. And yeah, it made me smile. You were excited about it. All right. God bless each and every one of you. Take care of your friends. Take care of your family. Enjoy this holiday time together. And then let's go January 20th. Have a good one, everybody.